Right now at 5, Joplin looks to slow things down on a busy street near the high school. Plus, a death penalty case prompts lawmakers in Oklahoma to take a closer look at the state's criminal justice system. And the Carthage City Council moves one step closer to an impeachment hearing against the mayor.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Elise Noe. Here's a look at our latest forecast from last night.
And it definitely turned out to be a nice Tuesday for us today. Temperatures a little bit warmer, but still great. We started out at 48, 80 for a high, a good chunk above our average high of 74, and we're going to continue to up those numbers as we go through the next few days. Nice right now, 61 in Joplin, it's 56 in Pittsburgh. We have clear skies, most of us mid to upper 50s to near 60 degrees. Now, we have clear skies, but of course, all eyes on Hurricane Milton. You can see that very defined eye wall now tracking northeast toward Florida, and will be making landfall here in about 32 hours or so. Has weakened just a bit this evening down to 160, and our pressure is coming up, which is a good news. So at least it's a little bit weaker. Of course, we're going to talk about Milton and what you're going to see at your house here in just a bit.
Authorities in Fort Scott, Kansas released an update regarding a school bus fire from last week. School officials say the district plans to conduct an internal investigation that will be presented to the Board of Education when complete. Now, last Thursday, a school bus carrying 30 8th grade students and 3 teachers was returning from a Kansas City field trip when the bus caught fire. Now, authorities say the bus experienced a blowout just south of Lewisburg, Kansas on US 69. Now, the driver continued to drive the bus at reduced speed to reach a safe location, but a fire ignited in the blown tire. All of the passengers were safely evacuated, but the fire destroyed the bus. Eventually, a second bus had to be sent to bring the passengers home. Lawmakers in Oklahoma want to fix what they are calling flaws in the state's criminal justice system. Much of the focus is due to death row inmate Richard Glossip. Now, Glossip is sentenced to die for the 1997 murder for hire killing of his former boss. Oklahoma's Attorney General has weighed in on the case, saying Glossip should be spared as he didn't receive a fair trial. Now, Glossip's attorney says his client's case represents many of the problems with the criminal justice system in the Sooner State.
And we are using Richard Glossip's case sort of as a frame with the problems, because his case is representative of many cases and many problems that exist in the criminal justice system in Oklahoma.
Well, the U.S. Supreme Court is scheduled to hear Glossip's case next week. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. The Carthage City Council meeting last night includes more discussion about the possible impeachment of the mayor. Now, talk of impeachment from certain members of the City Council goes back to April. The articles of impeachment accused Mayor Dan Reif of violating his oath and duties as mayor. At last night's meeting, council members approved new articles of impeachment. Last night's agenda also included discussion of a potential hearing date and the date for a disqualification hearing. Well, drivers on 20th Street in Joplin are going to have to slow down as a new school zone is put in place. Last night, the Joplin City Council approved amendments to several school zones in the community. Now, from 7:45 to 8:45 a.m. and 3:15 to 4 p.m., drivers will need to slow down. The speed limit along 20th Street by the high school will drop to 20 miles per hour. KOAM's Lonnie Walton spoke to neighbors about the change.
So every morning when I'm in here or coming into work at 6 a.m., there's always someone that is right behind me, really up close to my car, rushing to get to work. And a lot of times taking that turn into work, I have to slow down quite a bit, but they're still right up on my tail.
Cheyenne Hall is a barista at Pink Morning's Coffee Company just down 20th from Joplin High School. On Monday night, the Joplin City Council passed an emergency ordinance for school zone changes on 20th Street by the high school. Hall says it's past due.
Still are playing on their phones, and just being able to have that a little bit more enforced makes it a lot safer for the kids.
One local business owner says she's in favor of the speed reduction, but driving on the road anyway is just not her cup of tea.
A lot of times I just turn the back way because I don't want to mess with turning across traffic.
They say it's a change for the better, even if others may need to adjust.
I think everybody will oppose something, also sometimes just for the sake of opposing things, but I also think that people are in a hurry, and I think that they're just going to have to stop and be a little more patient.
Reporting in Joplin, I'm Lonnie Walton, KOAM News.
Since this is an emergency ordinance, the City Council needed to vote only once to pass it into code. The new school zone went into effect immediately. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern preview the upcoming season at MIAA Media Day. Plus, a koala's train station adventure in Australia was cut short by police. And we have a warmer and sunny day today. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Still in the midst of college football season here in the 4 states, but sooner than you know it, basketball season gets started. Can you believe it? Well, Missouri Southern and Pittsburgh State are up in Kansas City to preview their season at MIAA Media Day. Our sports reporter Brock Baldridge spoke with them yesterday afternoon.
Well, the calendar has flipped to October, and basketball season is right around the corner. It's yet another season of hoops for both Missouri Southern and Pittsburgh State.
I think the biggest thing, I think last year's team was, our team was so close, and you got to give a lot of credit to the 2 guys that left, Marquis and Jeremy. I thought they did an unbelievable job of really helping kind of control our locker room and being a positive influence on everything that we did. Practices every single day were competitive. We really got after it.
The girls are pretty aware that it's going to be a tough league like it always is, and I think we learned some lessons from last year that hopefully pay forward to this year, and in some experiences and just in some toughness traits and just mental approach. And so it's fun, but it definitely can't be too fun because it's going to get to business real quick.
The kids we have, I really enjoy being around them. They enjoy being around each other. We got 6 returning kids that all had a big part, played a lot of minutes last year for us, and then we got 4 transfers that come in, and we got 5 freshmen. So I think our returning kids are doing a good job of teaching our new kids how we do things as far as both offensively, defensively, how we expect things to be done, and they've done a good job in it, and they're meshing really well together right now.
Brought in 9 new guys, 5 transfers, 4 freshmen. They're all really good guys first, really good people, and they're hungry to learn. So there's a lot of teaching going on right now. We're trying to build a foundation, and the foundation is based on fundamentals and shooting the ball, obviously dribbling, creating, and then passing the ball as well. So we're trying to build this foundation and then grow from there each and every day.
All 4 of our local teams have different playing styles, but they all share the same mindset, and that is to cut down the nets in March. From Kansas City, Brock Baldridge, KOAM Sports.
Well, this past March, Pittsburgh State women's basketball did cut down the nets in Kansas City after winning the MIAA Tournament Championship. And they begin this season as the preseason favorites to win the conference, according to the coaches poll. The Gorillas come in at the #1 spot. Missouri Southern, not too far behind the Lions, are the preseason #4 team in the conference. And a look at the men's preseason poll, the Gorillas are the #3 team in the conference entering year 3 under the direction of Jeff Bosch. Now, they also get 2 first-place votes. Missouri Southern is picked to finish 10th by the coaches. Like you heard Sam McCann mention, the Lions are almost entirely new team this year. And they have 9 new players and with 7 returners, most of whom weren't starters. Some college volleyball action last night as well, as Pittsburgh State goes on the road to Newman and beats the Jets 3-1. The Gorillas play Central Missouri on Friday. And the same team that Missouri Southern hosted last night, the Lions fall 3-0 to the Genies last night, and they swap opponents with PSU. Southern goes to Newman on Friday. Well, still to come, an IV shortage from Hurricane Helene is causing hospitals nationwide to scramble. Plus, a check of the 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Tuesday for us today. Plenty of sunshine, a little warmer. Highs right around 80 degrees, but clear skies. We still have the clear skies out there for us right now across the region. And that's what we're going to see as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Great shot, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. All right, let's go ahead and drop south. Here we go. Hurricane Milton got a very defined eye wall this afternoon. Yesterday, it had a very small eye, but the storm was extremely intense. It's weakened today, weakened a good chunk this morning, and then once we got this eye wall back, then it strengthened throughout the afternoon and evening, but now it has ticked down just a little bit over the past couple hours. So let's see what we're looking at. You can see the high clouds right out ahead of the storm, another little upper level disturbance off to the coast of Florida, but all these clouds are kind of spreading out. So we're getting some upper level shear, which is going to try to weaken this a little bit as it starts to push towards shore, which we greatly need because it's a Category 5 hurricane. Clocking winds at 160. A few hours ago it was 165. The pressure was 902. It's come up to 915, which does show a little bit of weakening. It should hold at Category 5 through the night, but should drop to a 4 for us tomorrow as it approaches the western seaboard of the Florida Peninsula. And right now it looks like it's going to move in right on the south side of Tampa. So we're looking at about midnight tomorrow night. A Category 4, maybe a strong 3, low 4, but winds at about 130. This is pretty equivalent to what we had with Helene a couple weeks ago. And then it's going to move across Florida and then right back out to the Atlantic. As it moves over land, it feeds off warm water. It can't do that over land, and then will just become a tropical depression as it pushes away. But thoughts, prayers, positive vibes to everybody in Florida over the next couple days. Back here at home, upper 50s to near 60 degrees. Black and white camera, but here it looks pretty good. We have clear skies, not a whole bunch going on across the Central Plains. Really not much going on all the way out to the west. Here's the reason why. Jet stream way up to the north, and all the storm systems, they like to hang out where that jet stream is. So until it moves farther south, we're just not going to get any big storm systems in here. Calm tonight, upper 40s. Let's move to the noon hour. Mid to upper 70s. Once we get into the afternoon, 84, 85, so a few notches higher than what we did see today. Some clouds increase tomorrow night. Can't rule out a couple showers on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side as we go into Thursday morning, and then partly sunny right back into the mid 80s for highs. 51 to start, 77 by noon, high temp, 85. In fact, it gets even a little bit hotter. By Friday, we're pushing 90. By Saturday, we're pushing 90 again. Then a strong cold front drops through, and that's going to bring us back to October-like weather as we move into early next week.
Topping Health Watch this morning. Hospitals nationwide are struggling to conserve IV fluids after Hurricane Helene's deadly path nearly 2 weeks ago. The shortage comes after Baxter International Manufacturing Facility in Marion, North Carolina, had to temporarily close after it was damaged. The plant produces 60% of the IV fluids and dialysis solutions across healthcare systems in the United States. Since the hurricane, some flooded roads connecting the supply chain have also created shipping problems. On Monday, the CEO of the American Hospital Association said the Biden administration needs to take steps to address the shortages. The AHA also wants the Food and Drug Administration to declare a shortage of IV solutions. Well, teenagers are spending a lot of time online, and it appears to be playing a factor with their overall emotions. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention is out with its Youth Risk Behavior Survey. It notes that more than 3/4 of high schoolers use social media several times a day. The survey finds the more frequently students are online, the more likely they were to feel hopeless or depressed. Now, those in that group were also more likely to say they'd been bullied and had seriously considered suicide. The results are based on responses from more than 20,000 high school students in 155 schools across the nation. Well, concerning a health trend among baby boomers, new research shows that they're living longer than previous generations, but they're more likely to have worse health. Researchers at the University of Oxford and University of College London looked at health data from more than 100,000 people. The data came from adults aged 51 or older in the United States and those aged 50 or older in Europe. It showed that baby boomers are more likely to have chronic health conditions like diabetes, high cholesterol, and heart problems than previous generations at the same time. Now, the study authors said their results were generally similar for men and women, but they're still working to understand how variables like gender and nationality drive these changes. The study was published in the Journals of Gerontology. Well, nearly 120 million adults have high blood pressure in the U.S., according to the CDC. It can put you at risk for heart disease, stroke, and other significant health issues. But a person with high blood pressure often has no symptoms, and that's why getting it measured is important. But a new study suggests many may be getting inaccurate readings. Mandy Gaither explains how to properly be positioned when measuring blood pressure.
At a doctor's appointment, it's one of the first things you have done. Knowing your blood pressure is a critical part of health, but researchers say some readings may not be right.
In order to diagnose hypertension, the first step is getting an accurate blood pressure measurement. Inaccurate measurements, whether in the clinic or in the home, can lead to misdiagnosis or either over or under treatment.
Dr. Tammy Brady with the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine is senior author of a study which finds that having your arm in the wrong position during blood pressure checks, whether at home or in the doctor's office, can result in significantly higher readings.
It's not just putting on a cuff and pushing a button.
To get the most accurate readings, Brady says your arm should not be on your lap. It should also not be dangling unsupported at your side. Instead, it should be resting like this at chest height. Before the blood pressure is checked, she says to empty your bladder, avoid exercise, tobacco, nicotine, and alcohol for at least 30 minutes beforehand. Sit with your back supported, feet on the floor, and be free of distractions so that you can relax.
And then ideally, you would take 2 to 3 measurements, 30 to 60 seconds apart, and take the average of those measurements. And that part's important because everyone's blood pressure varies minute to minute, beat to beat. And in order to get closer to the truth, you want an average of those measurements.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, Dr. Brady says other studies have shown that proper positioning steps aren't adhered to at many doctors' offices, so it's important for patients to advocate for themselves. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. And we'll be right back. Right now at 5:30, artists and scientists team up at an environmental conference in Miami. Plus, the front doors of the City Hall in Webb City underwent some modifications. Plus, the city of Miami scares up some donors for a spooky-themed blood drive.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:29 this Wednesday, October 9th. I'm Elise Noe. Here's a look at our latest forecast from last night.
And it definitely turned out to be a nice Tuesday for us today. Temperatures a little bit warmer, but still great. We started out at 48, 80 for a high, a good chunk above our average high of 74, and we're going to continue to up those numbers as we go through the next few days. Nice right now, 61 in Joplin, it's 56 in Pittsburgh. We have clear skies, most of us mid to upper 50s to near 60 degrees. Now, we have clear skies, but of course, all eyes on Hurricane Milton. You can see that very defined eye wall now tracking northeast toward Florida, and will be making landfall here in about 32 hours or so. Has weakened just a bit this evening down to 160, and our pressure is coming up, which is a good news. So at least it's a little bit weaker. Of course, we're going to talk about Milton and what you're going to see at your house here in just a bit.
All right, when you head to the polls this November, you'll see a lot of names on your ballot. But we want to help you learn more about the candidates you'll be voting for, starting with those running for Cherokee County Sheriff. KOAM Samantha Walker reached out to both candidates on the ballot. Russ Harper elected to not participate. Samantha sat down with Brian Henderson to talk about what he hopes to bring to the position.
It will be kind of a homecoming of coming back to where it all started for me.
Brian Henderson is no stranger to Cherokee County. With more than 2 decades of law enforcement experience, he's previously worked for the Cherokee County Sheriff's Department, Joplin Police, and Baxter Springs PD. He believes his experience as chief in Baxter Springs will be useful if he's elected sheriff.
I feel like I have a lot to bring to the citizens of Cherokee County. I feel like I can do a lot as far as bringing back law enforcement and bringing the professionalism within the department that needs to be there.
One change Henderson hopes to bring to office is an increased partnership with other area agencies.
Whether it be local agencies within the county or the agencies that are from outside of our area, such as whether it be Joplin Police Department or Quapaw Marshals was going to be a big one because we border with them and they utilize our jail. So that networking and having the ability to be able to work with these other agencies is so important.
Throughout his campaign, Henderson has run under the values of compassion, honor, and integrity. He says those are necessary values for law enforcement to hold, and ones he plans to continue to emphasize as he works to gain the trust of the community.
It's something that we have to have. As law enforcement, we put on our badge. It's a sign for people to look at, and we don't want to disgrace that badge. We don't want to disgrace what we have.
Reporting in Cherokee County, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Voters will cast their ballots for Cherokee County Sheriff November 5th. You have just under 1 week to register to vote in Kansas. Well, the front doors of the City Hall in Webb City underwent some modifications yesterday. Visitors to the building yesterday could only go through the drive-through due to the installation of a new ADA-compliant doors. Now, those take into consideration factors such as width, maneuvering space, whether the door can be opened with one hand, door handle height, and door closing speed. Well, the annual National Environmental Conference at Tar Creek kicked off yesterday at Northeastern Oklahoma A&M College in Miami. The free 3-day event is open to students and the public. And this year's theme, Advocacy Through the Arts, includes community art displays, a fish fry, a taco dinner, and a silent auction. Now, visitors will hear from experts on environmental issues like lead poisoning, prevention, prairie restoration, and updates on the Tar Creek Superfund site. For decades, that site has struggled to deal with contamination from mining waste.
All this could have been avoided many years ago. The simple procedure would have been just to keep the water moving underground. No one wanted to be responsible for that, pay for it, and this is the result.
Now, this is the 26th year for the event, and the conference will run from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. through Thursday at the Bruce G. Carter Student Union Ballroom at NEO. Well, during the Halloween season, it's not just vampires looking for blood. Yesterday, the city of Miami held a community blood drive at the Integris Health Hospital. The theme for the drive, a play on Beetlejuice, was People Juice. Well, donors got a free glow-in-the-dark People Juice t-shirt and a chance to talk about their favorite scary movies.
My favorite scary movie. I know it sounds so random. It would be Signs. I know that sounds odd, but it's not quite like your normal traditional scary movie, but it scares me.
My favorite type of movie is action movies. Just the excitement, the adrenaline of the chase, catching the bad guy.
Well, drive organizers want to remind people that one donation can save up to 3 lives. Well, the Whitmore Pumpkin Patch started as a fun little project in 2016, but has only grown since. Families have a wide variety of pumpkins and flowers to choose from. For the Whitmore family, having a chance to meet everyone who stops by is something they look forward to.
There's a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, we grow the majority of our own pumpkins, so our season starts in May. So it's a year-long process of growing the pumpkins and harvesting the pumpkins and then having all the different colors and shapes and sizes of pumpkins. So there's a lot that goes into growing the pumpkins.
The Whitmore Pumpkin Patch is open now till Halloween from sunrise to sunset. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. NASA shares a look at Hurricane Milton from space, which could land a once-in-a-century hit on the Tampa Bay area. Plus, Hezbollah fired its largest rocket barrage to date at Israel's third largest city. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Topping World Watch. One curious koala tries to catch a train in Australia. Video footage from a train station southwest of Sydney shows a koala roaming the train platform on Friday. The koala can be seen walking up the length of the platform as well as climbing up and down the stairs. The New South Wales police were eventually dispatched and a warning was sent out to nearby approaching trains, alerting them to slow down. After a slow speed chase, the koala climbed a fence and hid in the bushes on the other side. Well, NASA offers a look of Hurricane Milton from space. The storm, which could land a once-in-a-century direct hit on the Tampa Bay area, could be seen from the great beyond by NASA astronauts on the Dragon Endeavour. The astronauts were supposed to land back home Monday following a 7-month stay at the ISS. Their homecoming has been repeatedly delayed by weather, the latest roadblock being Hurricane Milton. They are now looking at a possible splashdown off the coast of Florida on Sunday. The hurricane looms less than 2 weeks after Hurricane Helene killed more than 230 people across the southeast. A floodwater fills parts of the Sahara Desert in Morocco. The surreal sight showing a rare occurrence, water between the Sahara sand dunes. Now, typically known for its droughts, meteorologists say it's been 30 years since this much rain has fallen in the region. Now, because of the water in the Sahara, experts predict that strong thunderstorms could begin to occur in certain areas in the future. Well, Hezbollah terrorists fired at least 100 projectiles from southern Lebanon into Israel yesterday. Most were intercepted, but some got through and caused damage on the ground. This comes as the terror group's leader says his organization's capabilities are still intact despite Israeli attacks. Mike Tobin is in Haifa, Israel, with the latest.
While IDF jets continue to pound the Hezbollah stronghold near Beirut, there's word representatives of the Iran proxy want a ceasefire. This comes as Israel's prime minister says the successor to Hassan Nasrallah, Hashem Safieddine, was killed last week.
We took out thousands of terrorists, including Nasrallah himself, and Nasrallah's replacement, and the replacement of his replacement. Today, Hezbollah is weaker than it's been for many, many years.
Still, Hezbollah fired its largest rocket barrage to date at Israel's third largest city, Haifa. The rockets were many, so some got through the defenses, but they were small, so damage was minimal. Israeli aircraft struck the launch pad. The Israeli ground operation in Lebanon has expanded. The IDF describes it as limited, focused on destroying preparations for a planned Hezbollah invasion of northern Israel, similar to October 7th. In addition to explosives, guns, and anti-tank rockets, Israel says it discovered a tunnel stretching from Marwahin in Lebanon, just under the border toward the Israeli town Zarit, but an exit to the tunnel was never completed. Rockets still fly out of a pulverized Gaza Strip, despite Israeli forces back on the ground surrounding the Jabalia refugee camp, where the IDF says Hamas fighters made an attempt to regroup. In advance of an anticipated Israeli strike in Iran, Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant was scheduled to travel tonight to meet with U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. With Prime Minister Netanyahu opposed to the meeting, it was abruptly postponed.
No, it's not going to have an impact. We have a phone.
An Israeli official tells us the U.S. is putting pressure on Israel to avoid escalating tensions in the region and make the strikes in Iran symbolic. That same official says after 2 ballistic missile attacks, the counterstrike in Iran needs to be meaningful.
And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Tuesday for us today. Plenty of sunshine, a little warmer. Highs right around 80 degrees, but clear skies. We still have the clear skies out there for us right now across the region. And that's what we're going to see as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Great shot, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. All right, let's go ahead and drop south. Here we go. Hurricane Milton got a very defined eye wall this afternoon. Yesterday, it had a very small eye, but the storm was extremely intense. It's weakened today, weakened a good chunk this morning, and then once we got this eye wall back, then it strengthened throughout the afternoon and evening, but now it has ticked down just a little bit over the past couple hours. So let's see what we're looking at. You can see the high clouds right out ahead of the storm, another little upper level disturbance off to the coast of Florida, but all these clouds are kind of spreading out. So we're getting some upper level shear, which is going to try to weaken this a little bit as it starts to push towards shore, which we greatly need because it's a Category 5 hurricane. Clocking winds at 160. A few hours ago it was 165. The pressure was 902. It's come up to 915, which does show a little bit of weakening. It should hold at Category 5 through the night, but should drop to a 4 for us tomorrow as it approaches the western seaboard of the Florida Peninsula. And right now it looks like it's going to move in right on the south side of Tampa. So we're looking at about midnight tomorrow night. A Category 4, maybe a strong 3, low 4, but winds at about 130. This is pretty equivalent to what we had with Helene a couple weeks ago. And then it's going to move across Florida and then right back out to the Atlantic. As it moves over land, yeah, it feeds off warm water. It can't do that over land, and then will just become a tropical depression as it pushes away. But thoughts, prayers, positive vibes to everybody in Florida over the next couple days. Back here at home, upper 50s to near 60 degrees, black and white camera, but here it looks pretty good. We have clear skies, not a whole bunch going on across the Central Plains. Really not much going on all the way out to the west. Here's the reason why. Jet stream way up to the north, and all the storm systems, they like to hang out where that jet stream is. So until it moves farther south, we're just not going to get any big storm systems in here. Calm tonight, upper 40s. Let's move to the noon hour. Mid to upper 70s. Once we get into the afternoon, 84, 85, so a few notches higher than what we did see today. Some clouds increase tomorrow night. Can't rule out a couple showers on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side as we go into Thursday morning, and then partly sunny right back into the mid 80s for highs. 51 to start, 77 by noon, high temp, 85. In fact, it gets even a little bit hotter. By Friday, we're pushing 90. By Saturday, we're pushing 90 again. Then a strong cold front drops through, and that's going to bring us back to October-like weather as we move into early next week.
Well, movie news now from the return of an oldish favorite to film some thought might never reach theaters. Here's David Daniel with the Hollywood Minute.
People keep asking if I'm back. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
The original John Wick is headed back to theaters. The Keanu Reeves action flick that spawned 4 other movies and a TV series so far returns to cinemas for its 10th anniversary. The Baba Yaga hits the big screen again on Sunday, November 3rd and Wednesday, November 6th. Info at fathomevents.com.
Oh, wow. There's a lot going on here.
The Jonathan Majors bodybuilding movie Magazine Dreams is heading to theaters. Disney dropped the film amid Majors' legal woes. Now, Briarcliff Entertainment says it'll distribute the film early next year. Last December, a jury found Majors guilty of assault and harassment of his former girlfriend. Majors had pleaded not guilty to the charges.
Let me fight beside you.
The director of Dune Part 2 is getting a Big Apple honor. Denis Villeneuve is set to receive the Gotham Director Tribute for the film at the 34th Annual Gotham Awards ceremony on December 2nd. The announcement calls Villeneuve a visionary who has redefined the genre for modern audiences. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
That was one of the big challenges I had.
Well, Hollywood has come early for some college students in Arizona, courtesy of some unwanted new roommates. While in Massachusetts, a rescued rascal is getting some respite. Anna Sansoni has these rodent tales in today's Take a Look at This.
Spooky season is upon us, but some students at Northern Arizona University are packing up and moving out of their dorm due to some unwelcome decorations. A colony of bats taking flight at sunset, hanging out in common areas, and getting noise complaints at all hours of the day.
I just heard like squeaking coming from like the walls and stuff, and I was like, oh no.
While these raucous roommates may not turn into vampires, at least one captured bat tested positive for rabies, forcing the school to shutter the building to clear the creeps out.
We were sent out an email telling us to shake out all of our clothing, move items around in our rooms, look under every corner, every desk, anything we can find, pat our pillows and sheets down. So that, I think, was the email that made me want to move out.
But those bratty bats aren't the only rodents who are taking up residence. Meet Nibby, a 2-year-old beaver in Massachusetts at the center of controversy.
She's adorable. She's got this adorable little face.
This buck-toothed beauty was found on the side of the road when she was just days old and has been in the care of Newhouse Wildlife Rescue ever since. But Massachusetts wildlife officials issued an order for Nibby's release into the wild last week, something her caretakers say would put her at risk.
Sometimes animals cannot be rehabilitated and are not able to be released.
After days of public outcry,
we're not going to stop the fight.
Governor Maura Healey stepped in to grant a reprieve.
How are you? Oh, you're welcome.
Permitting Nibby to stay in the only home she's ever known.
The goal here is to take what happened with Nibby and try and educate as many people as we can to fall in love with beavers and learn how to live with beavers.
For Take a Look at This, I'm Amanda Sansoni.
Glad to see that she gets to stay at home. Stick around, we'll be right back. Well, for 1 weekend only, the White House gardens are open to visitors for a tour. In an announcement on Friday, the White House shared that the president and First Lady will be opening the doors to the gardens for a fall tour. Now, visitors can take a look at the full autumn bloom from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on October 12th and 13th. Tours are free, but participants need to secure a timed ticket first. The National Park Service will be handing them out outside the White House Visitor Center both days starting at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, and tickets are on a first-come, first-served basis. Well, this week is Emergency Nurses Week, and today is National Emergency Nurses Day. They are usually the first people you typically see in a medical emergency situation. Now, according to the Emergency Nurses Association, roughly 167,000 emergency nurses work in the U.S. The ENA has marked the observance on the second Wednesday in October since 1989. The association expanded it to a full week in 2001, and the group celebrates ER nurses with giveaways, discounts, member highlights, and the annual EN Week 5K fundraiser.
And it definitely turned out to be a nice Tuesday for us today. Temperatures a little bit warmer, but still great. We started out at 48, 80 for a high, a good chunk above our average high of 74, and we're going to continue to up those numbers as we go through the next few days. Nice right now, 61 in Joplin, it's 56 in Pittsburgh. We have clear skies, most of us mid to upper 50s to near 60 degrees. Now, we have clear skies But of course, all eyes on Hurricane Milton. You can see that very defined eye wall now tracking northeast toward Florida, and will be making landfall here in about 32 hours or so. Has weakened just a bit this evening down to 160, and our pressure is coming up, which is a good news. So at least it's a little bit weaker. Of course, we're going to talk about